She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstein.
Well, hey, hi, hello, you all. I'm so happy to be visiting with you again. Welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast. Today I have an interview with one of my wonderful friends, Candy Yao, and we are going to be sharing an event for women. Even if you're a man who's tuning into this episode, please listen up because this could be wonderful for one of your family members, a friend, a colleague. Somebody in your life may be interested in what we have to share. As we visit, we are going to be discussing a few different things. So as always, please look in the show notes for links to anything that we discuss. You can also find them on my website at miaanstein.com, or you can reach out on social media. There are links that we will mention, but you can always find me at Mia Anstein on most social media outlets, as well as Mac Outdoors on Instagram and Facebook. After our visit, I'm also going to be discussing some other ways to get involved and things that you can do in your community. So I hope you'll enjoy this episode, and thanks again for tuning in.
This winter, stay warm from head to toe with WSI Sports' heater gear layers. Use Leah's affiliate code, LLCO10, at WSISports.com and get 10% off your order. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI Sports is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. That code once again, LLCO10 for 10% off at WSISports.com.
Candy, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast. I have a lot of listeners who are interested in hunting and who want to learn about hunting. So I was excited. I asked you to come on the show because last year I helped teach at one of your events, but I also wanted to just introduce them to you and give them a little bit of background before I tell them all about that. Will you let us know who you are and just give a brief introduction?
Sure. So my name's Candy Yao, and we live in Fort Rock, Oregon. And, I grew up on ranches most of my life. And when I met Randy, 12, 13 years ago, I've always hunted like on a ranch. I think the two biggest holidays for them is branding season and hunting season, when everybody comes and you have all these huge meals. But I never thought of myself as a hunter until I met Randy. And the year after we met and got married, we had a hunting show on television called Extreme Desire TV. And basically, that's about all we do anymore. But what I did when I was training horses and on the ranch is I love getting women and youth involved in stuff. It's almost like my ministry. And I did it with the horses, and I had camps, and we did all kinds of stuff. So when I got into hunting so much with Randy, I said, hey, maybe we should have a ladies hunting camp. And he thought I was nuts. So 10 years ago this June, we had our first ladies hunting camp. We had 20 ladies, and we used our own rifles, our own pistols, our own bows. I couldn't believe we did that. And that thing has exploded since then.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, I got to go teach last year. And I say I got to because really, just like you said, it's a ministry and it's therapeutic to go help other people. And in previous episodes, I've talked about other hunting events where you actually, as a mentor or a coach or a trainer, you get just as much out of it as the students do. So that was really a lot of fun. And this year, you've got a couple of events, I believe, but that's what I wanted to share is what do you have coming up this year as far as these camps?
So our very first one is exciting. We did our first Arizona camp last year, and we're going to have our second one this year at the Ben Avery shooting facility out of Phoenix. And I'm super excited about that. We just can't get enough weekends free in the summer. So this gives us an opportunity to have an additional one. And that one's going to be April 21st through the 23rd. And we'll have all the same classes, tons of prizes, incredible instructors. I've already got some instructors coming from Clearback East this year. I'm so excited about that. Our second camp is going to be our advanced rifle long range camp at the Weatherby facility in Sheridan, Wyoming. and that's going to be May 26th through the 28th. And the instructors are going to be Nick Kalika from Leupold Optics and Brenda Weatherby. We had this last year and it was a smashing success. Nick is an incredible instructor and we just have a ton of fun. We only allow 10 ladies at this one. They really dial you in. You'll be shooting your own rifles out to 1,000 yards consistently by the end of the camp on that one. And then our other camps. So last year we had our very first youth hunting camp. Mainly because we had too many girls come into the ladies' camp, so we needed to open it up for some boys. And again, it was a smashing success. It's going to explode this year. And our camp is going to be July 14th through the 16th at our property there in Fort Rock, Oregon. And then our main ladies hunting camp is going to be the following weekend, July 20th through the 23rd. That's our big camp, and right there at Fort Rock as well.
Very cool. You're so busy. I can't imagine all of the work that goes into that. And you said initially you started out using your own equipment and it's progressed from there. Tell us a little bit about the classes, because you said guns and bows. Tell us all about the different types of classes that you'll have at the main hunting camp.
Absolutely. So yes, we teach rifle, pistol, shotgun, and archery. And we shoot the Camilla rifles, the Weatherby Camillas, and the Weatherby shotguns. Glock is our sponsor for our pistol class, and Bowtech. We have Bowtech bows for the ladies. That way we can kind of change them up so that they fit everybody. And we do have some more advanced ones as well. Basically, we try to teach all the skills to make you safe and successful. So one of the main ones is orienteering. Everybody needs to know how to use a GPS or a compass or read a map. These are things that a lot of people come to camp and they don't know. One of the other classes is tracking and scouting. We literally have like 25 classes and we mix them up every year because the ladies return every year. Some of them 5 and 6 years in a row. So I've got to bring new classes in all the time. But we'll teach blacktail hunting, predator hunting, ground blinds and tree stands is one of their favorites. That's super fun class. But I could go on and on and on. Like I said, there's 26 classes. But the main thing is we want to reiterate in every single class, how to be a safe and successful hunter. One of the things that most of the women are most amazed by, and we teach it in 3 different classes, is shot placement. Mm-hmm. Very, very important. And, it's devastating. What we want these women and these youth to do is once they start hunting, we don't want them to give up if they have a bad experience. So we want to teach them to be safe and ethical hunters. And then they get that, like you and I. And it never gets old. Yeah. When we harvest an animal, that overwhelming, just like, wow, like I usually cry, not just because of taking the life, but because we worked all year long just to get that tag. And we have to work out every day to stay in shape to go do it. So when it happens, it's just like, wow, it's just amazing. And I want them to walk away with that experience.
Yeah. And that's something that I noticed is that people do walk away with so much experience and confidence. I was surprised at how confident the women were at the end of the experience. And so when you are having this one at Ben Avery that's coming up in April, which is very soon, is it similar to the main camp? Because that's where I went, right? Was the main camp. So is the Ben Avery the same?
It'll be the same classes. It's going to be laid out different because we're at a shooting facility, but it'll have the same classes. We're going to have one area where we can do the orienteering, the tracking and scouting. We're also have the indoor archery range. And I guess there's all kinds of rooms and stuff that we can hold classes in there too. So I've been there and shot before. I have not gone, I'm going to go down here real soon and get set up for all of this, but I have not actually seen all of the facility before.
And I haven't been to Ben Avery either, but I do know gave feedback when they designed the Cameo shooting complex here in Colorado. And the director at the time, Director Broscheid, he tabled it off of Ben Avery. He wanted something similar yet different because we're obviously in a different area. But I can't wait to go see that facility someday. Maybe sometime I'll have to sign up for that class if you have it again next year. I'm already booked this year. But one thing that I really want the listeners to know is if you are interested in hunting, or if you have a friend or a coworker, a family member that's interested in hunting, this event. It's a ladies event. It's called the Ladies Hunting Camp. It's empowering. It also builds a community. I actually have ladies that reach out to me. We send messages back and forth. They'll ask for tips. They'll, tell me their hunting stories. And that's something that's really lacking nowadays in our world. With social media, it's like we're connected, yet we're not. And you have these newfound friends that are your tribe now. And it's something that's super fun. And part of why that was created is because how you facilitate everybody around the event. So it's not just about the classes. Will you tell us about the interminglings between the classes and afterward?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our goal is our motto is inspire, motivate, and empower. And if I find anybody in that camp that is not doing that to the ladies, I have to ask them to leave. Our whole goal is like I said, to empower them. And we get so many unique stories come to every single camp of how we change their lives. So everything is upbeat, everything is positive, everything's about them, about making them better and them learning. And then our campfire. We have a campfire every night, sometimes with no fire if there's fire danger.
If there's a fire, man.
Yeah. So, but that's when we can tell stories and we can laugh and we can, bond, become best friends. And they are our tribe. Once you come to ladies camp, you're my friend, like it or not. And we're just going to do everything we can to make everybody have a better life and a better future.
Yeah. And, just thinking about that, I'm kind of welling up because I remember a couple of the stories around the fire that people didn't realize when they came there, how therapeutic it was going to be. Just being around all these women, all different people. Yeah, we're all the same. We're all just humans. And it was something that it was really, really cool. Something else that I really enjoyed that you haven't mentioned yet is your cooking on the Traeger grill. The food was amazing, but also just the camaraderie around dinner and talking about classes and what did we learn in class and experiences that people had on their way or in the past year during pandemic seasons. There's all kinds of crazy stories. So that time is just priceless. And it's really neat how you design that.
Well, thank you. Yes, Traeger is one of our sponsors. We have amazing sponsors. And once they became our sponsor and we were able to use them at all the camps, we just dove in how to do everything on a Traeger, like cookies and pizzas. People wouldn't think that you can cook those on the Traeger, but you can. And it's just been so much fun. In every camp, I try something different and we just love it. We love cooking on it. And we want it to be almost a family atmosphere. Like you may have never met someone when you get there. A lot of ladies don't want to come to camp because they're nervous about meeting new people. But within a couple hours, like I said, whether we're cooking, whether we're going between classes, whether it's a campfire, even during class, you're going to meet lifelong friends and you'll have the time of your life.
Definitely. I am not going to object to that at all. So for the listeners, I know that you're ready to head out to the expo in a few minutes, I'm sure. But how can they find information about these hunting camps?
Absolutely. Ladieshunting.com. Super easy. Registrations are open for the Arizona camp and the long range camp. We should have the other two camps open probably within a couple weeks.
And does somebody have to bring someone with them or solo is okay? What do you suggest? What's the best way?
A lot of ladies try to bring their friends. And there again, it comes back to any time, particularly as an adult, when you go to something like this, you're a little bit apprehensive and you're welcome to do that. Most of them come alone. And when they get there, they're a little bit nervous, but we'll take care of that. So no worries there. But sometimes it's fun just to bring, we have one lady brings her grandkids and her daughters and the whole group comes and that's super fun too. So either way, and we'll make sure that you're comfortable.
Talking about that, bringing your family and a community with you, what are the lodgings at Ben Avery? Where will people be staying? Is that a camping experience like the main camp is?
We're going to try for that. There's 2 campgrounds there that have showers and restrooms and hookups for travel trailers, or you can bring a tent. I like that because we have better camaraderie. But there's motels that are probably less than 5 minutes away as well. So this one's a little unique.
Yeah. And I liked the tent camping experience because it goes along with the hunting and self-sufficiency. And that's something that a lot of the women at last summer's main event, they commented about becoming self-sufficient and just more self-empowered. And that's something that I thought they were surprised that they learned while they were there. So camping definitely is cool. And if you're going to be hunting, you also can stay in a lodge. So no big deal about hotels if you don't want to camp.
Exactly.
But I definitely do recommend it. As far as a hunting camp experience, what would be the next steps after they register? Is there anything they need to do, or will you send them a confirmation with all that information?
So they get an automatic confirmation, and then I'll put an email list together and just start sending stuff out as we get closer to the camps. We have a welcome letter, goes over basically all of the rules and everything they need to know. And for especially Arizona, obviously we'll have my rules and the stuff that goes with ladies camp, but we'll also have all the stuff from Ben Avery as well. So yeah, I keep them very informed. If for some reason, they have any questions, they've got my email. They can reach out to me at any time. My phone number's on there as well. Some people contact me a lot and some people don't say a word and just show up at camp. So, but they get all the information. I'll stay in touch with them quite a bit.
Yeah. And so I hope that many of you that are listening will head over, check it out, get the information, and also hopefully sign up for either yourself or additional people to go with you. That would be super fun as well. Candy, is there anything else that you want to share about the experience, or do you want to share anything about Extreme Desire or anything like that?
Extreme Desire was huge. It was so much fun. Basically, we just got to hunt and film it. We did that for 3 or 4 years and it aired nationally as well as in Canada and Africa. And we made so many contacts. It was just a blast. Things have gone digital now, and we're sort of a little old to relearn that fast enough to keep that going. But all of our shows are on Extreme Desire YouTube page. And we've got podcasts up there as well, all sorts of things. Lots of stuff about the ladies' camps are up there. So I guess as far as the camps, the only other thing I have to say is if you're listening and you really want to take that advanced rifle long range camp, there's only 3 spots left. It's filling super fast.
Oh, wow. And that's one that I highly suggest is a long range shooting, even if you don't plan to go hunt something at long range, because I personally don't shoot animals at that far of a distance. But if you go to that long range shooting, it helps you with all of your discipline for all shooting. So definitely check that out. And wow, 3 spots. People better hurry up.
Exactly.
So will you tell us again the link to the hunting camp, and then let us know where people can reach out to you on social media or otherwise?
Yes. So it's ladieshunting.com. And we are on Instagram, it's Ladies Hunting Camp, and on Facebook, Ladies Hunting Camp. And we encourage you to join us on social media. We try to keep things fun on there as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being on the show today. I sure do appreciate you popping in. I know that you're a busy lady.
Well, thank you so much, Mia.
For the love of the outdoors, open spaces, and mountains, shop www.mia.limited/1. The Mac Outdoors Mountains Are Calling series of apparel is perfect for you or your loved ones. Support the channel and shop now. www.mia.limited/1.
Well, thank you so much for visiting, Candy. This has been a wonderful day, and the ladies hunting experience is just a fantastic event. I wish that I could express over the airwaves just how wonderful it is. If you have questions, again, just a reminder, check out the show notes. You can also find stuff over at miaanstein.com. Another note about miaanstein.com. Over on my website, you can help support the podcast by subscribing for a membership. You can subscribe on a monthly basis or an annual basis, and it will help support the show. But also, you will receive early access to the podcast episodes as I release them. You will additionally receive access to some exclusive content that is not published on the podcast. Some of that is raw, that I've unedited, so you're getting all of it. And you'll also receive some exclusive interviews as well as invitations to online meetups that will be happening. So go ahead and head over there if you would like to support the show and check that out. Additionally, I'm going to be telling you about some classes and stuff, but I do offer classes over there. Some are virtual, some of them are online. You don't have to come all the way to Colorado to meet in person if you don't want to. But there's access to those as well as some books or manuals that will help you to learn about hunting and what to do when you're going to book your first hunt. So that's a little plug and help support the show. I always appreciate you and all that you all do for me. You guys are wonderful. One thing that I wanted to talk about with you today is getting involved in our communities. And when I'm looking at that, something that came to mind when I started talking about it is SCI, or Safari Club International. When we talk about SCI, it's not just about safaris. I really wish they had never named it that. I don't know why they named it. There have been discussions about changing the name, but you know how branding goes. Changing that is a big deal, and who knows if it'll ever happen. However, you need to know that it's not about safaris. SCI is at the nation's capital. They're international. They are in our states, and they are fighting for our rights, and not just the right to hunt. They are fighting for animals, for conservation, for habitat. There's so much more. They also fight for education. We need to educate our youngsters. We need to educate full-grown adults like us, which is why I have my podcast, is to try to educate others. But in my bringing up SCI, I wanted to tell you a little background about me. I am not employed by SCI, but I am a volunteer for SCI. I am the regional representative for the state of Colorado, and through that, I'm also the chairman of the regional representatives, and I am on the membership and development committee. So we look at ways of how we can grow our membership. And that's something that's always a challenge for any organization that I'm a part of, is to have people involved. Being involved is so important because it doesn't just help an organization, it actually helps your community and it helps you. When you give to others, it actually gives back to you. It helps your well-being. It helps your inner self. And when I talk about communities, I'm talking about SCI because SCI has chapters worldwide, and here in the United States, and here in Colorado, and here in the Southwest region where I live. So there are chapters all over the place. In your area, there's likely an SCI chapter. If there's not, message me, email me. I don't know if I said my email address is contact@miaanstein.com, but you can email me if you're interested in starting a chapter. Because the chapters of SCI, they have annual fundraisers in their communities and they raise money, but it's not money that just goes to the international organization. The money the chapters raise, the majority of that stays in their communities. And so the chapters are able to do with that funding what they deem appropriate for their community. What each chapter decides varies depending on their area. And I think this is fabulous because just in my region, I have chapters that support veterans. I have chapters that support women. I have chapters that support youth. And through that, there's all kinds of things they do. Fishing derbies, ice fishing, pheasant hunts, 4-H, rodeo. There's all different things that they do. So it's not always just about hunting. Something else that they do is they support Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They raise a ton of money that is given back to that state organization to help manage wildlife, habitat, and all the resources that are needed in our state. So when we look at SCI, look at those chapters. Look and see what you can do in your community. I want to tell you about a couple of programs that a couple of the chapters are doing that I think are wonderful, and it involves a community and it helps these people just feel better. It's not always about being the one behind the trigger. It's not always about being the one who catches the fish. Sometimes it's about what we can do for other people. So I mentioned fishing, and we think Safari Club, hunting, Africa. Why are we fishing in Colorado? Because SCI is about conservation and fishing is conservation. And so coming up in Southwest Colorado in Pagosa Springs, there is a women's ice fishing event. You can find details for that ice fishing event at fourcornerssci.com. That is all the letters, FOURCORNERS, SCI.com, fourcornerssci.com. And you can find information about the women's ice fishing event. That is put on with the Four Corners chapter along with Piedra River Anglers, and Piedra River Anglers is a wonderful guide. They understand conservation, they teach conservation, and that chapter, along with Piedra River Anglers, also helps stock the rivers in the Archuleta County area with trout, with cutthroat, with whatever type of fish they see are needed in the area. These chapters are doing great things. Another thing that this chapter is doing is they have a project. It's called the Legacy Project, and it was initiated by a past president of the chapter. And originally it started out as let's give a rifle to a family who doesn't have a rifle and so they can get out and hunt. Well, if you stop and think about that for a second, well, we're giving a rifle to somebody who doesn't know. Okay. So obviously, immediately the chapter is like, whoa, we have something. We need to update this program. So they were like, let's see how we can give a hunt and a rifle to a family who doesn't know how to hunt. Okay. Let me just tell you about the evolution. I'm not going to give you each step of the way, but I want to tell you about what it is here and now today. So today, the Legacy Project, they accept applications via nomination, and they select youngsters who are from families who don't necessarily hunt. However, it involves the entire family. They are selected and then notified. The parent or guardian of this youngster has to be able to pass a background check because, yes, they are going to receive a rifle. Once they get that rifle, they are scheduled for a range day and sight-in day, and that's given by yours truly. As I mentioned, I do provide classes, and you can find information on my website about some of the classes. So with this range day, we not only sight in their rifle, but we transition these youngsters off of the bench and transition them into hunting scenarios. So with that, we kind of walk them through a mock hunt and get their adrenaline going, get them to understand how to shoot, how to follow up the shot, and how to maybe even make a second shot, because sometimes our first ones are not quite perfect. Yes, it's true. Also, whether they do this before the range day or after, I usually suggest it before the range day, but they have to take hunter education. So hunter education is a requirement. Parent involvement is a requirement. If they have siblings, we encourage them to bring their siblings to the range day as well, because being a shooting instructor, I also may bring out smaller caliber rifles for the youngsters to try if they are mature enough. And that is deemed not just by the parent or guardian, but also by me as an instructor. These are things that we deal with at a range when we are instructors. So that's something that I do have articles that I've written about, and I will try to find them and link them also in the show notes or over on my website for you to understand when is the appropriate age to teach a youngster about firearms. So once they have done their hunter ed, they've done their range day, they are also provided with hunting camo, boots, hat, blaze orange, hat and vest. They also are given some gloves, a backpack, hunting knives, basically a starter kit of gear, because the chapter's goal with this project is to make these self-sufficient, independent hunters who are able to go out in the future with their parents and go hunt on their own. They are next headed out on a hunt with a hunting guide who is renowned. His name is Hody Ewing, and he's a renowned hunting guide who also was a government trapper in Alaska. He is amazing, and maybe I can get an interview with him on a future episode. I'll see what I can do about that. But he is one who takes these hunters out and helps them on their very first hunt. He and Gallegos Ranches, who are in the area, they provide the guiding and the land where these first-timers get to hunt without the pressure of being on public land and dealing with other people who are hunting. There's a little competition that goes on there as we're trying to pursue game during a public land hunt. After the hunt, they have been 100% successful in the several years they've been doing this project. They are taught how to field dress an animal, how to get it out of the field. And then another member of the community is a meat processor, and that meat processor allows the whole family to come in and work in their processing shop. And they teach them how to process and package and put this game into the freezer so that they have meals for the year to come. And so this project is amazing because this is something that I wish every new hunter could go through, is like somebody to hold their hand through each step of the way. But also the community members that are involved in this project, they are just touched by these new hunters every year at how excited they are and how they enjoy being in the field, how they enjoy making food, how they enjoy learning how to process it. And then one of the things that I have heard from numerous attendees is that the most exciting part for them is actually cooking up a meal. And so that's something that I think if you could get involved with an SCI chapter in your area, it doesn't have to just be veterans or youth or 4-H or fishing or a hunt like this. Some of them actually do women's hunts, some do youth pheasant hunts. Some of them are feeding the homeless. They process wild game or donate their wild game for the homeless shelters. Some of them are actually donating domestic beef or domestic pork to be used at these homeless facilities to help feed the hungry. The list of things that these chapters do is endless. Most of them, their projects will suit their mission, and each chapter has their own independent mission, although it does coincide with the SCI organization's mission as a whole. And so, to round that up, part of why I'm mentioning this is because a lot of the chapters are currently having their fundraisers. If you can go attend a fundraiser, you're going to help them in their outreach in your community. You also may be able to join the board or join one of their committees and help with some of the endeavors that they're working on. If you're not able to or don't have the time, because a lot of people are certainly busy and don't have the time to do this, you can also give that financial contribution. Go and buy raffle tickets, buy something in the silent auction, maybe in the live auction, and help support them. Currently on my list in my state, I have the Colorado chapter. Their event is going to be on Saturday, March 4th. I will include links to all of these in the show notes. The Four Corners chapter, their event is on Saturday, March 11th. And then the Denver chapter and the Upper Colorado River chapter, their event is in April. It is on Friday, April 21st. So if you are interested in attending those or any other SCI event, you can find links to that in my show notes. Additionally, there are other chapters, and I'm going to be having a friend from Florida on in a future episode, and he is going to tell us a lot about Florida and the outdoors, but the Tampa chapter of SCI, their event is coming up on Saturday, March 25th. So check those and others out and see how you can become involved or support these endeavors in your communities. I really do encourage that. Today, I also wanted to share some fun facts with you. Since I did mention that one of the chapters does donate domestic meat, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about beef, because on this show, I do talk a lot about hunting, and in my freezer, I do have a lot of wild game. However, I also do raise cattle, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit and share some fun facts with you from the National Cattlemen Beef Association's Checkoff News. From that, they do refer to the Mediterranean diet. And something that I've learned is that if you look at certain studies, there are areas called blue zones, and the blue zones are areas where there is the least amount of cancer and the longest lifespan. In those areas, they're eating these Mediterranean diets, and some people have transitioned this into like, if you're going to eat the Mediterranean diet, you don't eat meat, and that's not necessarily true. And so in the NCBA's Heart Healthy Diet Patterns section this month, they talk about how it's actually okay to eat beef or pork, and that actually, if you do have that, it helps you with certain heart disease factors such as your blood pressure and as well as your cholesterol numbers. One section that I'm just going to read for you from the newsletter that they have here is that the DASH, which is the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension diet. There's so many diets, but in that, it's currently called a gold standard of heart healthy diet, and it's recognized and recommended by health professionals to lower your blood pressure and cholesterol. This includes fruits, vegetables, fiber, and low-fat dairy. Research has recently been conducted to assess the effect of including 4 to 5 ounces of lean beef. And these are included daily as part of the DASH diet. And with that meat and an active lifestyle, it has a positive effect on your heart health. So the results showed that there is a significant reduction in the total LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. So overall, I just wanted to say that meat is actually good for you. It is healthy. I encourage you, this is not a medical podcast, but I encourage you to go and check out some of the studies on meat and those kind of diets. I personally don't recommend like a carnivore diet. I believe that we are humans and we need a little bit of everything. Also, I think each of us needs different things, so we can't all follow the same diet. But I did want to encourage you to not only head out and hunt, because not everybody gets to hunt, but also go to the store and look for good lean meat. So when you're choosing your meat at the counter, the good cuts are rounds or loins. So look for sirloin, tenderloin, top round. If you're going to be getting ground beef, look for something that is like 90% lean or something like that. If you get something that's lower than 90%, just know there's going to be more fat or grease in there, and that you do need to strain that off when you're cooking it for it to taste really good. Also, with that Mediterranean diet being mentioned, keep in mind that your portion size does not have to be like the big Texan size that is in the restaurant in Amarillo. Like, keep your portion size small. A little bit of meat sprinkled in with your vegetables. I think a lot of Americans these days, it's like you have your giant meat and maybe you're going to get a vegetable. Remember to include the vegetables. I am actually starting a garden. I haven't had a garden for years, but I'm going to be starting that garden. If you're interested in hearing some of the gardening tips, let me know. Reach out to me. As I said, contact@miaanstein.com is the email address, or on social media, you can direct message me. And just let me know if you're interested in learning about gardening, because obviously to make all of our meat taste good, whether it's domestic meat or wild game, the seasoning makes 100% difference. I am currently growing garlic, onion, and some herbs and spices, but those are things that are going to be wonderful additions to make anything taste the best. If you are interested in finding some recipes, I have wild game recipes on my website. Most of those recipes, you can also substitute domestic animals. So for elk, you can substitute beef. For cougar, you could substitute pork. For wild turkey, you could substitute chicken, or you can buy turkey at the grocery store. So go ahead and head over and have a look at those. And I thank you for listening to the show and for making it this far in the episode. I will be talking to you on our regularly scheduled program on Wednesday afternoon. So have a great one. Bye.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.